Hello, this training is for early career teachers in their first year on our programme, and we'll tell you how to use Steplab to complete your expected participation on our programme. So first thing to note is this is your Steplab homepage that you should always access by logging into your My Ambition portal and then clicking through to Steplab. It's a single sign-on, so there should be no reason to enter any more passwords when you want to get into Steplab. So when you arrive on the homepage, you might find that you have bulletins of a bulletin across the top of your screen, for example, one such as this. This will be if there's been any changes to your programme, so you can click in and read it or dismiss it if it's a really quick one. There will also be notifications underneath this bell. So this will be things such as if you've received a feedback from your mentor, for example. In this top corner here, you can see that there's an option to provide feedback to Steplab itself. So Steplab is this website that we work with at Ambition, and I'm sure they'd be really happy to hear any sort of suggestions with regard to their website at all. Down in the bottom corner, we have shout-outs. So the shout-outs are when a mentor has decided to praise their early career teacher, so that could be you or another early career teacher within your school, and they want to share that praise with the rest of the school so that everybody can see it and make it sort of public. Sometimes it can just be private for the teacher themselves, but sometimes everybody in the school can see it, such as here. So just to say this isn't seen by anyone outside of your school. If we look at the main part of the homepage, will probably be our to-do list, and that will be probably where you will direct your attention to first. And as you can see, all of the tasks are underneath the category of Learn, because as an early career teacher on our programme, you are expected to be completing study modules. That is your sort of participation on this programme. Whereas, for example, your mentor, they're going to have activities underneath a sort of coach category because they're expected to coach you. So before we look into the sort of activities on the Learn page, I'm just going to show you this current step. So my current step is the step that you are working on for this week. So this is the one that was set last week in your mentor meeting, following on from your observation and feedback session. So the step that was set for you as an important kind of strategy for you to do within the classroom and for you to achieve. If you click in, you can find out a little bit more about that step. So for example, you can look at the acceptance criteria for that step. So what that means is it breaks it down into the very specific kind of behaviours and actions that you should be demonstrating in your next observation so that your mentor can decide that you have met that step. You can also look at where that step sits within sort of wider context. So for example, which of our three strands, behaviour, instruction or subject, it fits within, and maybe this sort of category, overarching category. Also, you can look at sort of previous sort of studies that relate to that particular step. So for example, this one relates to behaviour 3, so module 3, instructions, and you can have a look at the sort of studies you did in relation to this step. And you can also look at feedback based on your last observation, and there's also an option to tap to log progress. This would be if, for example, you had done something throughout the week that wasn't being observed by your mentor, but you feel is evidence towards you having achieved this particular step here. So maybe, for example, you scripted really good instructions in your lesson plan, in a certain lesson plan. You could literally attach that file here. Or maybe someone had observed you, like a different person other than your mentor had observed you. We could attach their notes here and just submit those just as evidence towards that step. Important to note that this page I'm showing you here is completely optional. You don't need to be logging any progress towards your step. For you, your step is really just about knowing that you want to achieve it when you're being observed once a week. So if we go back to the home page and we just look again at this to-do list, you can see it's under the category of Learn, so I could click in from here, but it's going to take me to this page anyway, so I'm going to click into Learn. So on the Early Career Teachers programme, the modules that you have to work through are separated into 3 strands: behaviour, instruction and subject. In general, most schools follow the sort of cadence of having behaviour first, then instruction, and then subject. So these are released periodically throughout the year. So in general, if you start in September, you get behaviour 1 to 6 for those sorts of 6-week period. And then after that first half term, you would get behaviour 7 to 12. And then after Christmas, you would get instruction 1 to 6. Then after that half term, instruction 7 to 12, and so on. So we've set up this person as a sort of demonstration participant, but you can see they've had up to instruction released so far to them. Underneath here, there's also the teacher orientation. So you'll have likely have done this at this point, but if you haven't, it's just a really good idea to complete your orientation just to have a little bit more idea about how the programme works. But it's just to sort of get you started. So if we have a look at the modules themselves, let's have a look at what one looks like. So I'm going to click into instruction 6 because we've not completed it yet. And you can see that sort of topic for this week or the strategy is adapting teaching. So each module might be structured slightly differently, but in general, they'll have similar or exactly the same activities that you need to complete. So first of all, we're going to have a retrieval question. So it's just one question, just designed to think about what you've learned and give you that option to sort of retrieve this information from your memory, as we know is a really good skill that we use in our lessons as well. So I need to select 5 answers. I'm just going to select the top 5 and finish. And you see I've completed that part of the module, that object. The next thing we would have is an introduction video to watch. So really just something introducing that particular topic or strategy for this week. So this one being adapting teaching. And then I can mark that video as completed. It's a really quick one, that one. Next, I'll have a reflection. As you can see, it is optional. So I don't need to complete it at all. I can literally just skip to the next object. We do recommend you using all of these because they've been designed in such a way to sort of help you through the programme. But I want to make it clear that it is optional. So if you did want to sort of start answering these questions, just to say that you would need to have a response in every box to be able to mark this as complete. So it's a little bit sort of do it or don't do it, this one. So I'm not going to do it for now because I just want to show you how not completing this object will still complete the module. Next, you'd have your evidence summary. So we want you to be strong evidence-based practitioners, and this is where the sort of evidence comes in. So that kind of source research that sits behind a particular topic or strategy for that week. Quite long and very detailed, but we'll always sort of end with key takeaways to kind of summarise the particular article that you've read through. There'll also be options for further reading that you can click into the link and it'll take you to maybe an external source that you can read. And there'll also be the references. So if there's anything you've seen that you want to look into further, you have the option to. And then you mark that as completed. I'm just going to quickly show you that at the end. You can see that you have the option of downloading a PDF version here. So if you're the type of person who finds it easier to maybe sort of download it on PDF and make notes on there or annotate, that's an option that's available to you, and it also can help you change the sort of size and things like that. So I've already completed the quiz in advance just because I was worried about how many attempts it might take me, but this is where you would complete your quiz. So these are multiple choice quizzes. There's usually 3 or 4 questions. And just to let you know that it doesn't always tell you how many answers are required. So it's just about as many as you think are correct, and then the feedback will let you know how many you've got right or whether you need to sort of change things slightly. So, and that one's already been completed, and then I move on to my example video. So this is where we watch an expert teacher modelling our particular kind of strategy for the week. So it's important to note at this point that we can't sort of do a model for every type of context and every sort of subject or setting or phase. So it might not be the most relevant to your particular context. It's always worth discussing this with your mentor if you think maybe this one doesn't work as well, and they could provide a model for you. But in general, the strategies that we are sort of exemplifying these videos should be relevant to sort of all settings. Next, there'll be a symptom checker. As you can see, just like the reflections, it's marked as optional, so you don't need to do this. But it's just that really good opportunity to think about your own classroom practice and wonder sort of how far away what you're doing is from what we're sort of reading about here, and sort of having a think about that. So it's just about things you might have noticed in your classroom that are going on. So I'm going to mark that one as complete. We have another reflection at the end, just thinking about all the things we've read and what we've watched and the sorts of things that are going on in our classroom. It's just allowing us to sort of bring that all together and actively think about it and reflect. So again, you can see that it's optional, so I'm not going to complete this one either. So I won't mark as complete, and you can see that it already says that the module is completed, even though we've not done our reflections. So if I go back to the Learn page now, my module is now marked as completed. It's blue with a white tick in it, which is the kind of universal symbol on Steplab for that something has been completed. So if we quickly show you the rest of Steplab, you don't really need to do anything on the coach page. This is what your mentor will use to coach you. There is this option for drop-ins where you can sort of drop into different teachers in your school and you could record notes. But this isn't part of the Ambition programme, it's just something that Steplab offers. Within your library, you will find sort of those key resources that are more for reference than anything else. So you shouldn't be expected to go into your library and complete anything or mark anything as completed or do any quizzes. But you will find your sort of handbook, you'll find conference materials and clinic materials. So it might be that you're asked to bring a workbook to something and download that and print it off or just bring it with you. And these would be found here. There'll be links to these to download them. And then just kind of general program guidance, nothing to be completed as such. There's a link here to the Steplab knowledge base. I'm going to show you that in a moment, so we won't show it just now. On your profile page, this is where you can sort of adjust some settings and things like that. And it also lists your kind of achievements. So for example, like how many steps you've achieved and how many studies you've completed. Don't worry if it doesn't look quite as high as this. This is a participant we use for demonstration purposes, so they have done quite a lot. You can also see your sort of recent activity, so the modules that you've been completing and if you've had any sort of recent coaching or anything. And then if you go to explore my portfolio, again, it's that sort of overall record of what you've done. So what courses you've completed. Like this is just what program you're on. We've had to change this one a few times. And also whether you've received any feedback, that would be here too, and the steps that you've completed. So this is just sort of like your overall record, and when you complete the program, you finish and you lose access to Steplab, this is the point where you'll probably be able to download this, export it and download it, and so you've got that record going forward. The final thing I want to show you is the support page. So this is where this knowledge base is that we sort of had a quick look at a second ago. And this is where there's help for you of how to use Steplab on our program. So you can see that for you, you would click onto this one. And we do actually offer MPQs on our Ambition, with Ambition as well. So it might be that some of these articles are more relevant to our MPQ participants, but some of these will be very relevant to you as well. So things such as completing a self-study quiz, or how to use the sort of Learn tab. These are really useful guides that Steplab have set up in conjunction with our learning design team. And it's just a good chance, if we've whizzed through this a little bit and there's something you want to look into, I'd really recommend going to this page as your sort of first port of call. So I hope this has been useful to you. Thank you very much.